welcome to this episode of Martial Truth. I'm going to talk about Angi Uezu Sensei, who passed away a few days ago. Sad loss for Isshin-Ryu, sad loss for martial arts in general. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about him, the Angi Uezu that I knew, and his importance to Isshin-Ryu, which I think, some younger people, be a good idea for them to hear about that. All right. As always, if you like the videos, please click the like button, share, subscribe. Consider becoming a member. I appreciate it. Channel's growing slowly. I will be in Okinawa early December. I'm going to Okinawa early December. So anybody that's there wants to get together, please reach out. I'd love to meet people. I'm looking forward to it. Haven't been there since 2016, so it's been a while. And really, really looking forward to it. Okay. So, this podcast will be a little bit different. I want to reminisce about Uezu Sensei and his importance to the Isshin-Ryu community. I don't think people realize the importance of Angi Uezu in terms of the overall arc of Isshin-Ryu. Uezu Sensei began training in the early 1960s under the founder Tatsuo Shimabuku. He's the founder's son-in-law, married to Tatsuo Shimabuku's daughter. Okay, he began training, and very shortly, probably in the late 60s, and then definitely the early 70s, he began making fairly frequent trips to the United States. Traveling all over the United States, teaching at many different dojo, helping to spread Isshin-Ryu and make Isshin-Ryu stronger, right? So he was a big part of that. So in terms of that, we owe him a lot. But then what happened was in the mid-1980s, I guess it was, right? Uezu Sensei made a series of videos on Isshin-Ryu. And originally it was a 3-video set produced by Joe Jennings and Panther Productions. Joe Jennings, again, another Isshin-Ryu guy who doesn't get enough credit for the video explosion that he helped create. And it all started with Master Uezu's 3 video tapes. All right. I remember... I think I was maybe Shodan, so it's the early mid-80s, whatever it was, right? And, every year my first instructor would show the videos of Tatsuo Shimabuku Sensei, and then he'd also show these home movies he had of Angi Uezu. And as a 15-year-old kid, I'm looking at these people and I'm thinking, oh my God, look at these guys, right? They're amazing, right? Boy, if I could ever meet, the founder had already passed away. He died before I started. But boy, if I could ever meet someone like Angi Uezu, that would be great. And then, so when that happened, those videos came out, it was like, boom, okay? It was like an explosion went off, okay? Wait a second. Now we can have a video reference for what we do. Now we can, see self-defense techniques that Master Uezu's doing and all these different things. I mean, it was a big, big deal. And again, now in 2024, no one thinks of it. Oh, what are you talking about, Mike? What's the big deal? No, the big deal, there was no video. There was no video of anybody. Okay? You had 8mm on old film reels, which you had to set up a big projector. But now the VHS had come out, right? And again, Joe Jennings says, okay, I'm going to make a series of videos with Master Uezu. And boom, I mean, I bought them. A lot of people bought them. I wore them out, okay? It was fantastic. And then later on, he refilmed the series because, again, his production values, improved. The first videos are kind of funny. You'll hear a siren in the background. You'll hear the phone ring. But to me, those first videos were just amazing because, wow, now I had something I could look at, right? In terms of the style of karate I study. And that just opened the door. And before you know it, Panther Productions took off and they were doing all the things. And it was all thanks to Angi Uezu and his initial videotape series, okay? So, again, our younger practitioners of Isshin-Ryu may not realize that, but that's 100% fact, okay? So I'm training with my first instructor. He always spoke highly of Uezu Sensei. I see an ad in the back of Black Belt magazine that Sensei Nick Adler is going to be hosting Angi Uezu for a seminar out in Long Island. I'm like, oh my God, Angi Uezu is going to be here. I go to my first instructor. I said, hey, Uezu Sensei is going to be out in Long Island. We're going to go, right? He's like, no. He says, no, we're not going to go. I said, well, I'm going. So he wasn't too happy about that, but I went. And, Adler Sensei, who I knew since I was 15, was nice enough to formally introduce me to Uezu Sensei. It's like I was meeting a celebrity, right? Here I'm probably, 20 years old, 19 years old, whatever I am, right? And I get to meet Uezu Sensei, and then did the seminar and got to go through all the kata and whatever we did. I don't even remember what we did, but we did a whole bunch of stuff. I think we probably did some self-defense and different things, maybe some bunkai, right? But I mean, it was great. Here I am now with the guy that I've seen in these videos. It's just fantastic, right? And he was so nice. I mean, he was just so nice, right? So again, it was one of the first times I was exposed to an Okinawan instructor, right? And just got a different vibe. Very laid back, very nice, friendly with everybody. Always had a smile on his face. Loved what he was doing. Just impressed me. So then throughout the years, I got to train with him on several occasions. He was always very complimentary of my karate. One time, another time Sensei Adler had him out there. He had a tournament in conjunction with it. I had done Shishin-Ryu no Dai, which I knew was one of Uezu Sensei's favorite kata. And he approached me afterwards and says, oh, Michael, Chinkuchi, your Chinkuchi, very good, And, my wife was pregnant with our first son at the time. And he was just such a gentleman. He was fantastic, right? Just such a nice guy. Friendly, smiling, take photos with everybody. Kids would come up, ask him to sign his gi. He'd do it. I mean, just a very outgoing, friendly guy. So besides having very good karate, just a good person, good heart, right? Really, really, really good. So then a few years later, through Adler Sensei again, I met Divine Sensei, who was one of Uezu Sensei's senior student, John Divine, out of Pennsylvania. Right, I was lucky enough to see him again at the recent IWKA championships. I hadn't seen him in a while. It was great catching up with him. Another true gentleman in the martial arts, someone I truly admire and think is a great guy. And he reached out and said, hey, Mike, Uezu Sensei is coming to our dojo in Pennsylvania. If you'd like to come down and train, it'd be great. And I said, okay, great. And I came down and I arrived there and I walked in and I said, hi, could I speak to Divine Sensei? Because a lot of his students didn't know who I was. And at the time I was Godan. So this is going way back, right? And Divine Sensei came out and, said hi, caught up quick. And he says, hey, Uezu Sensei's in my office. Stick your head in, go say hello. So I stuck my head in, and Uezu Sensei looked up, and he says, oh, Michael. He says, Michael, he remembered me, and came up, gave me a big hug. We sat down, and we were just talking. His English is okay. My Japanese is not very good, but we could communicate and get our points across. And at one time, he asked me, he said, Michael, what dan are you? And, he knew I was a student of Kichido Sensei, right? There was never any... that's the one thing that I found interesting. There doesn't seem to be any animosity between the Okinawan Sensei, right? Like the fact that I'm in Kichiro's group, Uezu Sensei never held that against me or, look at me sideways, right? Always very complimentary about my karate. And, I always felt totally at ease when I was with him, again, attesting to his character, right? So he says to me, what dan are you currently? And I says, oh, I'm Godan Sensei. And I had mentioned, and I said, Sensei, I'm with Kichido Sensei. He says, oh, yeah, I know. He goes, right? And he takes out a patch, one of his chief instructor patches. And he hands it to me. And this is the patch. I still have it. Okay? So I still have it. It's a little worn because I wore it for years. I had it on one of my uniforms for years, even though I was not a member of Uezu Sensei's organization, right? He hands me the patch and he says, presento, like a present. I said, Sensei, is okay? I said, you sure? He says, yeah. He goes, yeah. And, I don't know if all of Uezu Sensei's members were happy, some of the senior members that were there, that he'd given that to me. but I was happy. I mean, it just made me feel good that he thought highly of me to give me that, right? And like I said, I did wear it on one of my gis for a long time. You know, it's very faded now. You really can't see much, but I held on to it, and I held on to it because it always meant something to me. And you know, in my dojo, I do have a photo of Uezu Sensei up on the wall. Okay. Um, Again, I just feel his importance in Isshin-Ryu cannot be overlooked. Just the videotape series, the fact of all the times he traveled to the United States teaching Isshin-Ryu and helping it to spread here. You know, again, eventually creating his own organization. He was Hachidan in the IWKA from Master Shimabuku. All right, so he was Hachidan. You know, so a very, very important person within the Isshin-Ryu community, a very important sensei, and someone that I think people need to realize and look at more. And if you go on my channel, there's numerous videos of Uezu Sensei doing kata, self-defense, bunkai, everything you want to see. And again, you can often see just the joy in him when he's teaching. Okay, and he was a powerhouse. You know, the guy, when he threw a punch and threw a kick, I mean, this guy had tremendous power. Okay, don't ever for a second think he didn't. All right, you know, I had heard a story. Don't know if it's true, but I'm going to say it anyway because I think it's a really cool story, and I hope it's true. Where Uezu Sensei was somewhere, and someone came to one of his seminars, and it was another Japanese, and he was from a different style of karate, and he was saying to Uezu Sensei in Japanese that the Isshin-Ryu punch is weak. He was saying like, woman, it's weak, right? The Isshin-Ryu punch is weak. And this discussion went back and forth in Japanese. Uezu says, no, not weak. And that Uezu said, maybe in the States it's weak, because there was a time where even Tatsuo Shimabuku felt that the Isshin-Ryu lacked power in the States, that they weren't training right and emphasizing power. So Uezu said, well, maybe here it's weak, but in Okinawa, the Isshin-Ryu punch is not weak. And the guy basically said, show me. So Uezu Sensei threw a punch the way a lot of the Americans were throwing it, which was they weren't following through. They were surface hitting. And the guy blocked it and said, see? And Uezu Sensei said, now I show you Okinawa way. And Uezu Sensei punched the guy in the chest and knocked him right on his ass. So whether the story is true or not, I could tell you now that Uezu Sensei possessed that ability. Okay, you know, he the last time I trained with him again was in Pennsylvania. You know, so, and the last time I saw him was in 1997 in Okinawa after he had the stroke. I had trained with him pre-stroke several times, trained with him post-stroke a few times. Let's talk about Uezu Sensei's, what's the way to put it? I guess his inspiring story post-stroke. Okay. Uezu Sensei has a stroke. I met the one of the young students that was there when he had the stroke. He gets brought to the hospital. He's told by doctors he's probably not going to have use of his one arm. He's probably not going to walk again. He asks the young student who's at the hospital with him to go out and get rope. She goes out and buys rope. He has her tie it around his left arm. I believe it was the left arm was the more damaged arm from the stroke. Has her throw the rope over the top of the curtain, and he sits there and starts pulling his arm up while he's laying in the hospital bed after the stroke. Not only did he have use of his arm, not only did he continue walking, he went back to doing karate. Obviously, he wasn't the same Angi Uezu that he was earlier, pre-stroke, but the fact that he came back and taught karate and practiced karate at a pretty good level, okay, after having what many doctors thought would be a debilitating stroke, okay, is a testament to his determination, all right, and his positive attitude, okay. I'm not going to let this keep me down. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to beat this. And he did. And for many years after that, he continued to practice and teach Isshin-Ryu Karate. And the last time I saw him, I believe, was in 1997 at the grand opening of the Budokan. We ran into him, me and my group of students who were there to represent Kichido Sensei's dojo and demonstrate Sun Tzu. We ran into him, and right away he's, "Oh, Michael," he gives me a big hug, shaking hands. I'm introducing him to everybody. He's super friendly. We posed for some photos. He even invited us to a party he was going to have. He says, "Oh, Michael, we're having a party. Why don't you come?" And sadly, we couldn't go because we had other commitments while we were there. But again, that last meeting I had with him in front of the Budokan, smile always on his face, just fantastic. Again, to see him. I ran into his students who were doing a demonstration. I think they did. They went. I think they went before us. I think they went before us at the Budokan. They did. I believe they did Seisan. And again, it was Uichi Sensei, who was at the time Uezu Sensei, is one of his most senior guys in Okinawa, and there's a bunch of the American guys. And before they went out, Uichi Sensei came over. We hugged. I knew Uichi Sensei too, and he brought his son over to introduce me. I believe his son was a green belt at the time. And I introduced Uichi Sensei to all my guys, and very friendly exchange. And again, showing Uichi Sensei's character. Again, his primary teacher, Uezu Sensei. So just, something I wanted to talk about was just Angi Uezu's, him as a person was just, again, a fantastic individual, great representative of Isshin-Ryu Karate. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that would say something negative about him. Okay? I just think that's a fact. Okay? For myself personally, I've always been a guy that tries to be friendly with everyone in Isshin-Ryu. Okay? Some people take the association thing very serious. And, it's fine to be in an association, but there's no reason why you can't be friendly with people in other Isshin-Ryu associations that have other Isshin-Ryu Sensei. I've trained with Angi Uezu. I've gone to workshops that Tokumura Sensei was at. I've gone to, I went to an event that Uichi Sensei was at. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with being friendly. I understand that sometimes it becomes Coke and Pepsi, but we don't want that. We want to all be Isshin-Ryu, right? The school of one heart. So, it's just important to think like that. And, I never heard Uezu Sensei say anything negative about Kichiro Shimabuku. I never heard Kichiro Sensei say anything negative about Uezu Sensei. So if there were ill feelings there, they kept them private, which I think says something for those people. And I think a lot of us in the West could learn from that, okay? Instead of always trying to put our teachers on a pedestal, we could recognize that there's worth in many, many different sensei, right? And Angi Uezu was the living embodiment of that, all right? He really was. And he'll be sorely missed. I want to offer my condolences to his family and to all his senior students, who many of them I know. I know his loss is being felt. I spoke with Sensei Adler the other day. He was very upset over it, and I totally get it. I did that little video tribute that I put out the other day. I just wanted to do something because I just feel he really contributed a lot to Isshin-Ryu Karate. All right, so I'm going to leave this at that. This one will be a little shorter. I hope people take the time, especially younger people that aren't as familiar with Uezu Sensei, to take the time to go to the channel and watch him do the kata and watch him practice Isshin-Ryu and teach Isshin-Ryu. And if you're students of senior teachers of his, to ask your sensei to tell you stories about him. All right. Because, I bring them up in my dojo. Things come up and I say, well, Uezu Sensei's approach was like this, but this other person was like this. So he's someone, like I said, I have his photo up here. I'm glad to have spent time with him. I'm glad to have done some training with him. He's an important instructor of Isshin-Ryu Karate, and he'll be sadly missed. All right? So, hope you enjoyed this one. I just wanted to reminisce my own personal feelings about Uezu Sensei. Again, if you like the videos, please click the like and subscribe. We'll get back next week to another type of podcast, whether it be an interview or something else. Okay, and please just again take the time to take a look at Angi Uezu Sensei and just understand his importance to the world of Isshin-Ryu. All right. So again, hope you enjoyed this one. Little sad, but it's okay. So, not everything can be happy, and it's important we think about him and remember him for the incredible individual he was and how good an individual he was. All right. So everybody take care, and I'll see you in the next podcast.